in Canada because
a boot. Not a boot. Sorry.
Hey, welcome back to Trail Trash Garage with Jeff. I got some odd light right in my face, but it is what it is. DRZ project. The whole story behind this was that the stator went bad and that was replaced, but the Loctite wasn't used on the bolts, and I think I'm getting this right. And the second stator came out while the guy was riding the bike and toasted that stator. It came loose in the casing, and then the third stator is the one that just got put in, and the bike has got no spark. So we tested the stator using the static ohm test, and it tested fine. So it's not the stator, but it is the stator. So the stator windings themselves are good, but in the DRZ, the pulsar coil, starter coil, crank position coil, whatever you want to call it, is integrated into the stator wiring. You can buy them separately, but the two main manufacturers of stators, Ricky Stator and or Ricky's Electronics or whatever, and RM Stator here in Canada, they're out of Quebec. They don't sell the pulsar coil separate. It's all whole unit, which is kind of unfortunate. But so the customer, he got this last stator he got from Fort 9. It's hard to say where that stator was actually built, and so some of your eBay stators that come from the country that shall not be named, the pulsar coil is wired backwards, so you can find videos on YouTube where you swap two of the wires, and the pulsar coil works. But that wasn't the issue. We tried that just to make sure that was fine. I tested it against my machine, and we swapped ECUs, we swapped other parts. So the only thing back to the stator, so the stator windings themselves passed the ohm test, but what didn't pass was the pulsar coil. We were looking at was the peak voltage test. I don't have a peak voltage adapter for my multimeter, so I couldn't do that. So, but if you look at the OEM stator's specs, the pulsar coil should ohm out at 430 to 600 or something like that, four something to 600 ohms, and this was ohming out at 200 on the static test, so that's way below spec. However, that's not an OEM stator, and a 200 ohms pulsar coil is pretty common outside of DRZ applications. So I didn't know whether the company that built the stator actually used a 200 ohm coil and it should work, but it's not working, and I wasn't sure. So I reached out to RM Stator and had a conversation with one of the techs there, and even though he didn't have any proof that I was going to buy a stator from them, they helped me work through that problem and said, no, like, that shouldn't be the case. If it's for DRZ, it should spec out a little higher than that. He goes, now, having said that, he goes, not all of them are the same. He goes, I can't speak to what somebody else may have done, but ours ohm out at the one we do is 430. It should be within 5-10% of that, either way, give or take. That's what it should ohm out at. And he said 200 just doesn't seem right to me. So, but he goes, I can't speak to yours. He's very diplomatic, and not to say everybody else's stuff is crap and theirs is awesome, but he definitely said that this is our stuff, and we make them ourselves, we do our own stuff, and blah. He was promoting his stuff a little bit, but he wasn't shitting on anybody else's stuff, right? But I got back to the owner of the bike, and we decided that, what, we're just going to buy the new stator. We'll keep a hold of the old stator this time, because he threw the old stator out because the pulsar coil in that stator was probably okay. We could have maybe used it, but that got tossed. So that'd be a lesson. Keep your parts, because you never know. Your wife will hate you because your garage looks like a junkyard, but you never know when you need them for something. So he went ahead and he did buy an RM stator this time. So there's our connectors. This is the stator pack. Box from FedEx, packaged in the box, and there we go. So there's your 3 stator coil wires. So those are what you test for if you're ohming out your stator, which are the windings here. And then this comes off your pulsar coil, which is right here. And static test on that should be 430 ohms according to our stator. So we're going to set over to ohms, and we're going to set it at 2,000 ohms because we want to check the stator windings first. So we're going to ohm these out. And you know what? I can't remember right off the top of my head. I can't remember what these should come out as. So we're getting 0 on the multimeter. So you guys can see that while I moved it. But so what we're going to do is we have to go back to 200 ohms. Okay. Let's see if I can set this up so you see it. And there's tons of videos on how to test this. We're just doing this so we can. Okay, so there we go. So we got 0.8 ohms, okay? So now we're going to go to this one. 0.8 ohms, okay? Then we're going to come to this one. And 0.9 ohms. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it does. You can look up the specs and see what this actual stator should be ohming out at. But the fact that we don't have a broken line, this is not going open line, and it is, we're getting the same reading for every pair. And if you didn't catch that, we're testing this against this, this against this, this against this, and this against this. Or you don't need to repeat the second one, but you catch the drift, right? So you need to check all three leads against each other. And so we have the same reading. So that stator's good. So we're on 200 ohms because, or no, we should need to be on 2,000 ohms because this should ohm out over 200 ohms. It should be around 430. Ha ha ha! 196. That specs out the same as that other one. Well, crap. That's the new one. Let's go with the old standby. See what this shows us. $200 ohms. So, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. That's not good. All right. Well, I mean, they told me 430 is what that should ohm out at. So I'm going to double check that this is the right stator, that they sent the right one. So we'll take a picture of that. RM1049, part number. Made in China. Holy jumpins. Thought they said they made them right there. I'm going to go check the specs out on that stator, make sure it's the right one for this bike, and then, well, I'm going to go check that stuff out, and we will chat later. Hey, welcome back to Trail Trash Garage with Jeff, and we're in the garage today, of course, working on the Suzuki DRZ, and not my DRZ, somebody else's DRZ, the one we've been putzing with electrical. So I filmed a quick little short unboxing video. We got a stator from RM Stator, a local company in Quebec. Anyway, just out of curiosity, I did the unboxing, which you saw in the unboxing video, and we did the test, and it ohmed out at the pulsar coil between the blue and green wires ohmed out at 197 ohms, which again is within 20% of a 200 ohm coil. So again, I'm like, what the heck? So I emailed them back and I say, what's going on? You guys told me yours spec'd out at, 230 ohms, or sorry, 430 ohms, plus minus 20 ohms, or 20%, sorry. And here I got a pulsar coil from you, brand new out of the box. It's spec'ing at 197 ohms. This just isn't right. Plus on the box it says made in China. You guys told me you made yours in-house. Well, the reply was, well, actually some parts we do manufacture in China, but indeed, that pulsar coil should spec at 430 ohms plus minus 20%. So you might have a faulty pulsar coil, and so they gave me an RMA number, and we're going to ship it back, and I'll give you guys updated on that. So that's where we're at with this bike, but there's a bunch of other things we're going to do with it. There's the customer's got some silicone radiator hoses. We've got a new stainless line because the part that actually broke in this bike initially, other than the stator, was the fact that the brakes were going on, but they weren't releasing. We rebuilt the caliper, we rebuilt the master cylinder. It was still doing it. So to me, there's an internal break in the brake line. So the lining is letting the fluid through to the caliper, but then it's collapsing and not letting it come back. So we got a new stainless line. So silicone hoses, new stainless steel brake line. There's a new overflow tank, sorry, that had broken. Obviously we've got, just quickly I'll bring you off and show you. We've got some blinkers here that are broken. Just a few other things that's going on here. So we're testing that, whatever. So just a few other things we're going to do to freshen up this this build and get it ready. Yeah, so we'll continue on the series. So today we're just going to tackle the brake line. So I'm going to get set up, and I'll bring you back when we get at it. All right, so I kind of got started and forgot to turn the camera on. That pin comes out. There's a rubber seal there that comes out from behind it. Now, I believe that the wheel has to come out. Now, you can change the pads. You can slide the pads out this way. But this point right here is what we're hung up on. So I'll work around you and leave you running. Cut out the boring parts. So that clip there is on the inside of the swing arm. And that keeps the brake caliper bracket from doing this. So I'll have to take the wheel completely out. That means taking the chain off. And that way I can move the bracket out away from it and up or whatever. But I don't really want to do that. If I can do this, oh, look at there. Ha! Just move the pad out of the way. I don't even have to take them off. So that's the caliper off. So we just needed to create enough space to get through there. All right, so this is what we're gonna crack. Yeah, that wasn't on there. So there's a little lip in here. So that should be over this lip here. I'll show you real quick. So there's a little lip right there. It's hard to tell because of the dirt. And look, a little rust maybe. And that rubber lip right there should go over that. So as the thing slides back and forth, the rubber moves, and that keeps crud out of there. Sorry, I'm not supposed to be talking while I'm moving the camera. You see these spoke covers? Yeah, that's melted because the hub, the brake was getting so hot in the hub because they were dragging. So yeah, it got hot enough where it was starting to melt out those covers. All right, so we're going to take this off next, and that should be a 12, I believe. Okay. 13, 12, there we go. 12, I was right. And that's usually on there real tight. Alright, I'm going to try my impact. Okay, there we go. We'll leave that upside down like that. We'll take that out. Should be 2 copper washers. Now we got brake fluid in there. We're gonna have to clean all that out because we don't want brake fluid on any of those pads or anything. All right, so do those need to be, there's enough flexibility? I'm not sure. Hold on, let's get a rag. Let's stuff a rag in there. Yeah, so now we gotta get this off of, and I think we can just take that off. I don't think I need. Can I get in there? Yeah, we can get in there. Grab that banjo. Grab our copper washer. Now, can we get this out? I don't think so. We may have to take it out. Oh, that wasn't very tight at all. All right, there, one brake line. Now, brake fluid, I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's worth repeating. Brake fluid is highly corrosive to paint. So you do not want it dribbling on any of your paint. Okay. All right, so brake line and rubber. Now the other thing is they use the same. Look at the old line. There definitely is a difference, because there's no angle on these things. You got a bend here, right? Factory bend. The side that goes in the caliper is probably fine. And this has got to, it can't sit. Yeah, because that's almost like that, so it's kind of got to come up like that a little bit. I don't think we can go in like this. Oh wait, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's probably fine. We can go like that. We come in like this. Where'd that copper washer go? Just went flying. Both of them went flying. Are you kidding me? Now, technically, you should be using new copper washers anyway. But we're not gonna. We're fine. Alright, now that we've got our new copper washers. Now, seriously though, you can't anneal these and reuse them. And, which is what you should do. Like, you know, don't, once again, don't do what I do, because, you know, it's not right. You know, or, you know, I'm doing what I do for me. Start it by hand so you don't cross thread it. If you can. I'm having a hard time getting in here. Should have a wrench. If I let go of that, it's going to go flying though. Okay, stay. That's not the best angle, so I don't want to go too tight there, but alright. So, great. Two, let's clean this off. Alright, slide that on. Out of our way. So, I usually, this is Molly, an extreme pressure grease. I like to use this stuff around, stinks like all heavens, but I like to use this stuff on brake parts just because I mean, that's what it's for. It's for brakes and differentials and whatnot, because it doesn't break down under temperature and pressure as much. So, because you don't want anything, you want to be careful oiling up or greasing up anything in your brake system, just because you don't want anything, you know, melting onto your pads or whatever and fouling the pads. So you've got to be careful about that stuff. Now I think they might make specific grease. Like copper and silver anti-seize is usually pretty good stuff to resist heat and whatnot as well. And a lot of people put that on the back of, you know, your brake pads or whatever. And of course, that's a big controversy. Some people don't think you should put that stuff on your brake pads at all. Brake manufacturers, some of them will say, "Oh, it's fine. You know, that's what it's for. It's anti-squeal grease." And then other companies will say, you know, they won't say yay or nay to that sort of stuff being anywhere near your pads. So it all comes down to a CYA stuff, right? So anyway, you get around on the internet, you'll get all kinds of opinions on that. So brake line back in here. That still feels like it's going to be just slightly too long. Now, working with stainless steel lines is not the most fun, because I don't know where Tim got this set up from. But that's it doesn't seem to be really like custom fit to this application. So better that needs to be flipped around actually. There we go. So you don't need to take the wheel out to do the pads on this model, but you do need it out. Now, do I like it like that? I don't like it like that. That's almost in place, and I don't like the angle of that. So we'll take that off again. No, it did go that way, right? Go in that direction. That's gotta be in there. Get the pad in there right. Pad in there right. Right. That looks a little better. All right, now for this piece. Give that a little of the molly. Now that actually goes in the other side. I'll give it a little bit of more molly. And that should go, I think, this way. These pads have to be lined up. It's kind of an odd break, really. But the pad sliders being fixed on this side, it floats on this side. I mean, that in itself isn't odd. It's just the fact that the slider's connected to that bracket, and the fixed points connected to the bracket, and the sliding pins connected to the caliper, and they're separate until you do this. What do I do with the Allen key? Oops. And I'm sure there's torque settings for this stuff. That bleeder screw is a little corroded. Big boy. Now, we'll torque that later after I get the bike back down off the stand here. Okay, so this one. There. Now, I'll show you guys something. So if you look in here, you can see that's hitting the spring, or it's very close to it. I don't like that much. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bend this around even further. So we'll bring this all the way over here, get it away from that, because this cable could have, if they'd bent it right, it actually could be a bit shorter than that, but they didn't. So that shouldn't be like that. So we were low on fluid anyway. It's a good thing I got some. Anyway, It's gonna be a pain because it looks like it's been like that for a while. But it should be like a, yeah, like an accordion or something, I guess. There you go. My hands are kind of dirty, so get a clean rag. And yes, I should be wearing gloves for this. This stuff's not good for your hands. It dries out and cracks your skin. All that stuff. So, you should always do this from a sealed container. So, this stuff is really hydroscopic. So, what that means is it absorbs moisture. So as soon as I open this, it's going to start absorbing moisture from the air. And even though this is a closed system, it still absorbs moisture, which is why your brake fluid gets dirty and cloudy and stuff after a while, and you should flush it and change your fluid every, I don't know, whatever your owner's manual recommends, but every couple seasons probably, or every season or whatever. So I will, that's a lot of fluid for one brake system, so I will keep this for a little bit, but after it probably sits on the shelf, like after the summer's over, if I haven't used this container, and I always, as soon as you pour it, I always seal it right back up to prevent as much of that absorption as I can. But if it has to sit over the winter, like I throw it out, whatever's left, right? It goes into the used oil and off to the oil recycler. And I'll open it so if this is the first spring, this is the first service for spring. I'm gonna get a fresh bottle. So if I don't use this up, by the end of the summer, it'll be thrown out. All right. So this is probably an 8 mil. I'll go get an 8 and a little piece of tubing. We'll stick over here. Okay. So let's put that on. And the tubing will catch most of the fluid, and then we'll just what drips down in here we'll get. You can get all fancy and run it down to a little bottle or something, but it's no biggie. All right. So we fill up our container, our master. Oop. Too full. Again, this is where you got to be real careful, because you don't want to, if you're doing this over like a street bike or something you care about the paint, you're going to want to be careful. So we're going to crack this off a little bit, okay? What we're doing is we're going to pump. And then crack it open. Now, sometimes it's hard to get this going, right? So I'll show you another trick. Like, we really should be getting, like, we're not losing any fluid. No fluid is going down there. So we're not getting any fluid through here at all. That should be pumping through and compressing fluid in, and the air and the line should get compressed. And then boom, we crack it off, air escapes, right? Doesn't look like we're, oh no, we're going now, Okay, the fluid is going down, okay? So give her 5, 6, 7 pumps, and then boom, crack off. Now, the important thing is don't let this up while you've cracked this off, or it's gonna suck air back through. So, we're closed, now we can let off. Now let's pump. Keep an eye on this, we don't want this going down too low. Keep this down now, crack. All that air escaped. Now we can let back up. Now we're getting low here, so we fill up. Now I mentioned another method. So another method is to do with the same thing like a speed bleeder. So I actually have, because I'm a paramedic, I steal, shouldn't say steal, you know, but I'll grab a Toomey or something like that every once in a blue moon when one goes bad. But it's a big syringe, and you put it on here and you can suck through. So you suck the fluid through instead of trying to pump it through with the master. Okay, so pump. Ooh, we're starting to get firm already. So a couple of good pumps here, and then crack this off. There, we see fluid coming through. I'll bring you guys over. Already firm here. Okay, hold tight, pump, neck is soft, and we see some fluid come through. Okay, pump, pump, pump. There we go. Boom. Pump, pump, pump. There we go. All right. That actually feels pretty good. So I'm going to top this up. Actually, don't want to put much in there. We didn't use a whole lot of that second. Just a tiny bit. bring it up a little bit. Now we clean this out. Let's put this in. Put this cover on. Alright. Put our cap back on. Now we'll crack that off. Let that drip down and absorb in the mat. There are my rags down here. Like I said, you can use a little catch can if you want to. Alright. Now let's see what we got here for brakes. Dang. Can't ask for anything better than that. Now, that's still a little tight up in there, but I think we're okay. I don't think I need to tie that anywhere. We'll just make sure that when we get it down off, we'll compress the brake or the suspension once we get it down off the thing here. Make sure that it's not hitting, because eventually that'll wear through if it hits, so we don't want that. Well, there's the rear brake sorted out. So we've got the new line in, and everything's tightened up, the wheel's back in. So the only thing left is just to let the bike down, and we'll check the suspension and make sure that that line clears the shock coils. But it looks like there's some clearance there. So, I mean, worst case, we've got to, I don't know, maybe use a zip tie or something like that just to kind of pull it back in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know what brand that line is, but I would have liked to have seen that a little shorter, or maybe the angle on the banjo bends a little more like the factory. But anyway, the line's in there. So the next thing we're going to do, while we're waiting for that stator to be returned, I got that shipped back to RM Stator today, so we're waiting for that to get back. We'll get these blinkers sorted. This one doesn't even work. That one's broken, so we'll get those fixed up. We've got this. So here we've got 2 connection points. So we could just tighten this up here, but that's not really going to fix this problem up here. So I'd say the rubber, it could be in 2 pieces or something. Let's zip around here. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but we're going to have to fix that so that it's nice and solid. Front blinkers are working. He did give me there is an extra blinker in there, I think that's just like this. Or he bought a couple extra blinkers. They're flush mounts, so I don't know whether we could put those back here. Well, it depends on what he wants to do, because I mean that's not really going to be, well, we might be able to fix it, it depends. So yeah, well, that's probably it today. If I get any more done, then I'll bring it back and update you, or maybe it'll get tacked onto the next video or whatnot. So we're just going to pick away at this bike for the next little bit, and then we have another project. So we can, yeah. So anyway, so we've got a few new parts for the 1980 XT. We've got a new rear fender. We've got some new foot pegs and the heat shield. And that should be ready to go. Completely ready to go. Now we have Colin Stacy. You've seen him on the Chasing Waterfalls and the Trail Guide on the ADV. So this is his XT250. It's had a hard life. He's rode it hard. But you know what? It runs sweet. It's a testament to the engine in these bikes. I just can't believe how well it runs, even with the little maintenance that it gets. And not to say it's neglected, it's just ridden, you know, and so it's just really impressive that these bikes, the punishment that they can handle, these little 250s. So we're going to completely go through this thing. We've got, it had a little smash, so we kind of did a zip tie stitch job here. We're going to try a new front fender. We've got some new levers, perches, grips, handlebars. We're going to do a fat bar on it. There's going to be stuff all the way back that we're going to do, so and just kind of clean it up. So he got a hold of a WR450R with a blue plate. It's pretty cool. You should see that on the ADV channel, maybe in the garage channel too, because there's a few things that bike had to go through to get it legal for the road. I don't know if I already talked about this in another video, but anyway, there's a gray market or a gray area there for bikes like the with the CRF 450R from Honda, the WR450R, and maybe some KTM's and stuff like that to get them blue plated in the province. So there's a couple things you can do here that dealer can do, or you can get them blue plated in New Brunswick and get them switched over. I think we've already talked about that in some videos anyway. But so this bike may be passed on to his wife, or it'll be kicking around the channel for guys that want to ride with us, trying to get them interested in the sport or what have you. So we're gonna go through and make this bike a little prettier. I think we'll probably do some, like I said, we've got some handlebars, probably some foot pegs, and some fenders and some plastics and that kind of thing, just to get this thing kind of looking snazzy. And we're gonna do that as a project. So it'll kind of be like the 1980 250, so it'll just be like a XT 250 refresh project, except this is, I don't know what year this is, but this is the current generation, so that generation's lasted a long time. In any case, lots of stuff coming up here at the Garage channel, so if you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. And for Jeff at Trail Trash Garage, I'll catch you in the next video. We're in Canada because
a boot. Not a boot. Sorry.